morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Big A. Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling on a Sunday here, an overcast Sunday. A couple of minor showers around. We're not expecting any real problems with the weather, which is nice. We've been very fortunate with the weather throughout this meet. Some surprising performances yesterday, particularly Rock Emperor. He really got his act together yesterday. A horse who spent most of his career running okay, but doing a lot of hanging. Yesterday, he just cruised up to those horses under a hold from Javier and looked like a completely different horse yesterday.
Been waiting for that performance for about 30 months, right?
No, a year and a half.
No.
You're right. He ran in the Belmont. You're right.
2019.
You're right. He ran in the Belmont Derby. That was his first start.
2019.
Yeah.
Everybody's been waiting for him to run back to that performance, and he.
27 months, but still,
27
yeah. No,
months,
you're
yes.
right. You're right.
Thank you for correcting me, Andy.
No, I was thinking last year was. You're right. Gosh.
That's
he
2
ran
years
some
ago.
good races.
He has.
But he's been more of a disappointment. Not that he's a bad horse, but a disappointment. It seemed like a
Underachiever until yesterday.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Underachiever
a fair way
until
to put it.
yesterday.
I do agree with the notion that Gufo moved too soon, and even Joel sort of said he may have moved too soon. He wasn't winning.
It wasn't.
Probably would have been second.
That result wasn't.
So the King got
maybe.
a very good ride from Irad,
Yes, he did.
and everything broke well the way he rode him. And maybe Gufo moving too soon enabled him to get second, but he wasn't beating Rock
He wasn't
Emperor
beating. Nobody was beating that horse.
Nope.
That horse ran huge.
He ran big yesterday, no doubt about it. We'll see how things play out today. 3 stakes on today's card. We'll be playing them through Nyra Bets. Head over to Nyra Bets if you're not a member. No better time than the present. Use the promo code MATCH200. Sign up. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Play through Nyra Bets. Support racing in New York. And more importantly, and most importantly, keep the money in the game. Latruska, by the way, running in the Grade 1 Spinster at Keeneland later today. And that's Latruska in that photo. That is not Latruska. I'm thinking that's a Cortland horse in the outs. I want to say it was Code of Honor and I think that's Saratoga, right? There's a lot of people. Or is that here? Who is that? That's obviously a St. Elias for Vinny Viola on the rail, right?
Right.
The jock. Vino Rosso. That's Vino Rosso. I can see it in the silks. That must be Code of Honor outside of him, right?
Yep.
Code of Honor wore those.
The Lane's End silks.
They look a little less green.
Yes,
Okay, there you
agreed.
go. Anyway.
More aqua.
Now that we've settled that mystery, you guys can all get through your day. Okay, bet 50 each on Belmont, Woodbine, or Gulfstream or more. You'll get a $50 bonus. You got to opt in at Nyra Bets on that. And finally, America's Day at the Races, 12:30. Yeah. 1 to 1:30 on FS2. The rest will be. It's actually, I think, 12:30 to 5, guys. I believe it's 12:30 to 5. I could be wrong, but I believe the last race is at 4:52, so I think it's until 5 o'clock. Anyhow, race number 1. So, is this just one bet creating? Looks like there's $4,700 to win out of about $10,300 in the win pool on the number 7, Provocateur, who you and I left out. I think he was my infamous 5th pick, as you like to say.
Well.
He's a half to 1 liner. The dam has produced 3 horses to try the turf. They've all run badly. They're actually pretty good in the dirt. And is into Mischief, which doesn't inspire much confidence. And the dam did win the turf, got a 75 buyer in doing so. Now, you could look at it 2 ways. One is Todd Pletcher is obviously well aware of the pedigree. He trained 1 liner. And he has realized he has a turf horse in his hands. Or 2, he's realized he doesn't have a dirt horse in his hands. We'll see how this money unfolds as time goes on.
Well, I think you also need to look at the ownership group when it comes to this money.
Yes, that's a very good point. It's a My Race horse, so maybe they're putting their money in early. This is not a horse that I want here. There's too much pedigree to go around.
Too much pedigree to go around. I agree.
And the horse out of the 3 that I've experienced in the turf that ran the best was Nyc Race. And while he got beaten by over 4 lengths in the race we're going to show here to Annapolis came back and got an 89 buyer, beating a very talented horse in his last race. So talking about the horse that may well be favored in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. So I don't think it was a bad effort by him. I think he actually ran fine in here. He just couldn't handle that horse. He was forward, a race that kind of fell apart late. He ran a race that probably would have won a number of maiden turf races we ran going along. He just ran to Annapolis. Now, I don't know what was behind him. I didn't take this horse. I went to Firsters. You went to the 1A payback period.
I did. Payback period coming over from Europe. I'm assuming this was a Tattersall's
Sure it was.
A son of Dubawi. Yeah, just kind of, I don't want to say guessed, but I didn't want Nyquist Nicks.
Did you look the pedigree up on this horse?
Payback period?
Yeah.
I did not.
Okay. The dam was a multiple in the turf. This horse is a half to Single Soul. Now, Single Soul's a nice horse for Grand Motion. She lost a photo here just the other day. She is a horse that probably wants more distance. And with Dubowie as the sire, you wonder if this is a horse that may be more proficient at longer distances.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that as a first-time star, the horse couldn't win a mile, but one of the things that slightly concerned me was this horse, based on the pedigree, has 1.25 miles stamped on his forehead.
Right.
Which might suit him very well going forward. And listen, just because he probably wants more distance doesn't mean he can't win first time
Can't win
in
a
a
maiden
mile.
race, right.
So I'm not surprised, but listen, you leave out these Tattersall Klarovich horses at
can't
your
do
own
it.
risk. They all seem to run fairly, not all of them, but many of them have run very well. Probably the most productive pedigree in here is the 8-horse Ruthenian. Saw a very nice first-time star for Christophe Clement, a filly that won yesterday's second race. I mean, Ruthenia and Rutherian, I think, is the second dam. She's produced 2 winners out of 3 to try the turf. Both were pretty solid. I don't love Union Rags as a turf sire, but I'm going to take this one from Christophe Clement. They're kind of an interesting part ownership between Stone Farm, which is Arthur Hancock, and Augustin Stable. So it'll be interesting to see what this one does, wearing those Sunday Silence silks.
We're kind of on the same page here, 1, 6, and 8.
Well, I got the 9 in there as well. Maybe needed the first start. Sometimes these Belmont horses that don't run well first time run a little bit better second time out. Barclay Tag on the rail. Not a ton of turf, but it is at Temple City. We'll see. Chad Brown's another horse in here, by the way, that you put third. Verbal.
Fourth, yeah.
Fourth, excuse me. Interestingly enough, this one on the dam side is not a screaming turf pedigree. The dam was more of a dirt horse. She's the dam of Toledo, who was a fair Chad Brown runner from a few years ago on the dirt. Was an Into Mischief. This one's a Flintshire, which is, I'm sure, why Chad Brown's running on the turf. The second dam was okay, so it is, but I would guess of the first 2 that maybe that Payback Period is the better one, but you don't really know. I mean, this one could be a runner.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
About Songbird's full sister, Galt, running on turf for the first time.
Feels like quite a give up after one start to be running this horse. The dam was actually 0 for 3 on the turf, so there's a full to Songbird. The dam was 0 for 3 on the turf, much better dirt. She's produced 4 horses to try the turf. They all lost. And this is like, I'm going to go back to what I said the first time Galt ran. I don't believe that they would have sold, even as a weanling, and $400,000 for a weanling's a lot.
A lot of money.
But given the pedigree of this horse, I don't believe they would have sold this horse coming out of the womb for $400,000. So I kind of question letting the horse go as a weanling and selling it for $400,000. Because given that pedigree, this horse could be a sales topper.
Yep.
When you consider Songbird and her skills and her talents, and it's a good pedigree besides. So I wonder a little bit about this horse.
Agreed.
And the turf, look, I hope for their sake that I'm wrong and the horse runs well on the turf, but I got a feeling that horse just can't run. Race number 2. You have Illuminato on top. Go ahead.
I do. Fresh gelding dropping down for Brad Cox. Will set the pace up at Saratoga. Took money that day, 3-1, and I'm hoping the best hops to drop.
See, this is a problem with this gelding stuff for people like myself.
Wow, 9-5 morning line.
For people like myself who print the PPs when they're drawn on Thursday, this horse is not listed as a new gelding. And I'm going to say this for the 5,347th time. It's not you, it's PPs.
Well, it's weird.
If information is not accurate 100% of the time, it's useless information. In fact, it's misleading information. So either get the gelding stuff right or stop putting it in. They're never going to listen to me because nobody listens to me. But the reality is you're deceiving the public unless you're doing it. We did a great job at NYRA of always announcing geldings. If you did your work, you could find out who the new geldings were. This stuff is not helpful. So anyway, this one is a new gelding, which you knew if you didn't print your PPs when they came out on Thursday. Anyhow, sort of showed speed first time out in a race that absolutely fell apart. So I think that was probably a better performance than it looks. Now, it was 9th beaten 20 lengths. I think the reason that the morning line maker, who is not David Aragona today, I'm not releasing who it is, but I know who it is. And I like him, so I'm going to be kind of nice to him. I think his thinking, and I don't disagree with him, by the way. I think this horse is going to be a very short price.
Okay.
Where else you go here? You've got a horse that's dropping for Brad Cox. The horses that have run in here, who the heck do you want here that's run?
None of the runners.
I mean, I want the one because it's named after I assume this is a play on the Grateful Dead album, Working Man's Dead. Working Man's Dude is John Terranova, the trainer, a big Grateful Dead fan. the 2 heads or tails after Riken, for whatever that's worth. It's Riken, right? Riken. All right, a misspelled horse, right?
Riken Ken.
Silver Samurai, who ran, has had 4 chances, does drop down, has some speed, but isn't the speed going to go with Illuminato?
His last 2 races
abysmal, right?
Abysmal.
Raw Courage hasn't done any running to speak of. They've been trying to run the turf, then they're trying to go back in the dirt. You've got Charlie Baker on the outside, and that horse has pedigree, actually, half to Hollywood Cat, but also Bellamy Bay, Broadway Bay. That big, deep closer my friend Tony McCarthy used to own.
Yep.
On that Bruce Brown had. An alpha, and with all due respect, he's naming a rider, Charlie Baker, that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, not knocking him. He's had some success out of town, but he hasn't really ridden here that much, and he does, use guys like Joel Rosario, though I don't know, is Joel not here today? Might be out of town. I didn't pay enough attention.
No, he's here. He's riding Royal Flag.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. I mean, it's just not like a bunch of firsters, so I'm going to take the firster, Bustin Pietre. And I'm going to give my friend who made the morning line a little bit of leeway here. This is not going to be 15-1. Now, this horse is going to be 15-1 if he can't run at all. But Roddy Valente with a homebred, that's a half to
Bustin Timberlake.
Yeah. A full, to him. Got a 94 buyer, mostly in the 80s, that horse. That horse did start out slowly and sort of got better as he got older. But it feels like if this horse is live, you'll know on the board. Give the morning line a little bit of leeway. It's not David Aragon today. It's not somebody who's made the morning line in the past. It is a man of great talent, but not necessarily as a morning line maker. And I think lack of familiarity, I think it's hard to believe this horse is going to be that big a price. I think you'll agree.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, the other thing is, where else do you go?
No,
here?
I know.
It's sort of like the 3 is the horse you go to that ran.
Right.
And then you look at the firsters. I guess with Bustin Pietre, I have obviously.
I guessed a little bit with Charlie Baker's hot
information.
stepper.
Yeah. No.
Were you a big Iny Kamosi fan? Here Comes the Hot Stepper.
What is that?
It's a song from the mid-'90s.
What's the name of them?
Here Comes the Hot Stepper.
Who's the singer?
Iny Kamosi.
Yeah, no.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
it was in that movie Pret-a-Porter.
Pret-a-Porter?
Yeah, Pret-a-Porter. It was in the movie.
Directed by Robert Altman, one of the greatest directors of all time.
It's about 25 years old.
I used to see Altman all the
Great
time.
song.
I used to see Altman all the time at Cafe Luxembourg, actually. Yeah, I idolized him.
I thought I saw you dancing in
He made
Gaffney's to that
McCabe
song
and
once.
Mrs. Miller, MASH, California Split,
We talked
Rooster
about him last
McCloud.
week.
We're talking about him, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching a movie of his. I was watching Shampoo the other day. It was on Showtime. You've seen Shampoo, right?
Yeah, of course.
Great movies, Martin Beatty. Anyway, we digress. Race number 3. Win with Pride for the notice. So I have a question as we take a look at Win with Pride as we move on to race number 3, a horse that we both have third. Do we think the notice are on a run or not?
I don't know.
Yeah, because they've had a couple of horses that have run well, but a lot of them have just sort of run But maybe they have a lot of horses,
Right.
like a lot of trainers.
Right, that's the
Doesn't
problem too,
distinguish
right?
them from those barns.
When you look at these runs, you got to
way
also
horse
look at the
racing
stock.
goes. Yeah, I thought this horse got an absolutely perfect trip to win. Obviously, Baby I'm Perfect came back and ran very well in his next start. I guess he can win this race. I don't know. I didn't have a particularly strong opinion. I liked another horse. I put him third. He's clearly in the mix.
Yeah, I had a tough time with this race.
Clearly. What do you like about Gray's Brooklyn Law?
I'm just... Well,
playing for 12-5?
With Aristocratic in here, you know there's going to be some pace on.
Why are you so convinced that Aristocratic can't wire the field?
Well, you obviously believe he can.
Yes, I do.
Well,
I'm sure you believe he can. You just believe he won't.
Right. Correct. That is correct. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Aristocratic today, and with him in here, I'm just hoping there's some pace in here.
There'll be a lot of pace in this race.
Comes running late.
Yeah,
I had a tough time.
Pace. There's only pace when there's no pace. After Boldish wired the field yesterday, just about anything's possible.
I mean, the logical horse in here is Summer
Wait a
Bourbon.
second. What do you like about Craze Brooklyn Law? You picked this horse on top.
I'm hoping there's a little bit of a pace collapse and him getting back to getting this going 6.5. He'll be able to pick these horses
Peter
up late.
Walder's playground at Gulfstream when he was running big figures.
I thought he ran well enough at Monmouth last time.
No, he didn't. He runs a race around at Monmouth. He won't get in the pentafecta.
I thought he ran well enough where
no, he didn't.
If he comes back to some of his races at Gulfstream,
so I'm going to go through
right.
his last race at Monmouth. He had a perfect trip, and the race completely collapsed. He actually did no running last time, if you looked it up. Maybe Mike Maselli will work a miracle with him, but based on his last race, he can't win this race. I think Aristocratic is a very, very reasonable horse in here. It's a very interesting claim for Gustavo Rodriguez. He did not bring this horse to Saratoga. The horse needed some time. He didn't really fall apart that bad for the last barn, because the reality is 2 and 3 back, he ran figures that would probably win this race, especially as the controlling speed. You don't like Benji Hernandez. You don't pick his horses ever under any circumstances.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. But the reality is that he's actually having a good meet.
That's not true. It's not true.
Anthony, you have left out horses. You left out a Gustavo Rodriguez horse that Benji Hernandez rode that you would have automatically picked. You didn't have him in your top 4 picks that I thought couldn't
Anthony,
lose.
You don't have a problem with the fact that this horse once, literally once. Well, I shouldn't even say once.
Okay, we're
twice.
at 91. How many lunches do you want to bet he beats Crea's Brooklyn Law?
I'll bet you 2 lunches.
Okay. All right, we can move on. I believe he's going to be very dangerous to wire the field. Summer Bourbon, take a look at him.
I mean, he is as logical a pick, right? I mean, off of his last 2 races.
He's logical, but he's unreliable, because I don't know where these last 2 races came from.
Well, the fact that they came 10 weeks apart has to give you it would give me, it
Where
gives
did
me
it come
some
from
confidence.
2 back?
I don't know.
You would say there was moisture in the track if he hadn't run his last race.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, that just goes to show how meaningless that is.
No, what I'm saying,
I
but
hear
he
you.
followed it. I mean, and those were his 2 best races in a long, long time.
I hear you. I don't trust him. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He beat horses that came back to not run particularly well, but I don't disagree with you. I've got him second, and he can absolutely win this race. So.
I mean, he's the most logical horse in here, right?
Yes.
He's just kind of one of the first one. I guess Confectioner can be sitting second in here, but he's kind of one of the first ones if Aristocratic backs up to inherit him.
I don't think that way. So, no, he's not, actually, but no. I think that the number 6 and
I guess
number
one
3.
with Pride will be forwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that way. Race number 4 at 1.5 miles, and that's the kicker in this race at 1.5 miles. You have to ask yourself how confident you are of a horse getting 1.5 miles. And we'll take a look at Cold Hard Cash, who I have third and you have second. And I'm going to show the beginning, the first quarter of the race. He is the number 6 horse in this race. He actually broke okay. He dropped back much more than he normally does, but they were kind of moving up front. But I believe, I'm not sure if it was the eventual winner. Somebody came over on him, but you're going to see him pretty much clip heels there and almost go down. I don't know why we were in such a hurry to cut it after that. It wasn't actually a full quarter mile, but he ran well, and he would have won this race if he hadn't been allowed. He's also blocked in here. I mean, this horse, he's blocked there. He's blind switched by the eventual winner of the race. I mean, yeah, this race was broken open when the 2 moved too soon to the lead, but he ran the best race. My problem with him is he's a McLean's Music. You really confident this guy's getting 1.5 miles?
No, I'm not.
I mean, do I think he's, the best horse in the race? Yeah, he might be the best horse in the race, but I don't have any confidence in 1.5 miles. I'm sure Linda doesn't either. You've taken Ob on the speed. It's a little bit different race than the one he was in last time, isn't it?
It is, but I'm hoping that he can just kind of get control in here under Johnny. And I know it was a little bit of a different race, but he was good last time. And if he comes back with a race like that, he's going to be really tough. I think he's going to be really tough.
Wouldn't you say, though, there was a yielding turf course, and maybe that helped him be
I
good?
didn't think he ran terribly. I thought he ran okay enough.
But you do selectively use
No.
turf
I would say that, but I thought he ran well enough first time on the turf.
Well,
and then last time when he was
20th in this
right,
race.
but when it was
the race due back gives him 20th.
But he improved off of that race, Andy. Now maybe he did improve because of the moisture in the ground, but he also
he
could
may
have
have
improved
because he had an easy trip.
Right. But I do feel
He can
like
win. I got him
he's
second.
gonna get I feel like he's going to get a pretty easy lead in here again.
I think he's a horrible favorite, but he can win. I think you have to be very careful about taking horses up big figures and 7-length wins, trying new distance, because you're getting so many variables thrown at you. The horse that I'm most confident will handle the distance is the 2 one-night standards. He actually lost to Friars Road, who's pretty good. He was third in a close photo to Unified. United, in his next start. Unified's a sire. Improved his buyer 10 points. Looking at that race, he was actually fairly legitimate. Looking at the field he ran with, it's a pretty solid field all around the 1 3/8 race 2 back. Claimed by Mike Maker when they ran him 1 mile and 16th, and I think Mike Maker may have had this race circled in the book, frankly, for this horse, because he does like to claim horses with a stretch out in mind. And I think he saw the same thing, which is this horse ran the best race he's ever run, going 1 mile and 3/8. So I'm going to take the 2 I am the most confident will be able to handle the distance in race number 4. Stakes action starts in the Futurity in race 5. We'll take a break after race 5. Wesley Ward scratched his two fillies. We'll take a look at Chi-Town Lady and Poppy Flower, who are both running in this race right now.
Here's Poppy Flower. What a big lead into the stretch. And Chi-Town Lady gonna. I got a little confused there just now.
Well, you were looking at the other feed,
yeah.
feed, right?
I saw Saratoga.
I saw the dirt, right? And I got confused too.
Yeah, both fillies come out of the race against fillies yesterday to run against the Colts, and this filly did nothing wrong last time. I mean, she got a good trip.
Nothing wrong.
She didn't do anything. I mean,
she ran well.
She got a good trip. I know she was. She
got a good trip, but this is
slow.
another race where once again I think you have to talk about turf condition. She was running on a yielding turf, and I do think it's fair to ask whether or not she improved on a very yielding turf course. Poppy Flower came back, and she ran okay, and I know Mr. Guys ran okay yesterday, but she was also on the rail before angling out in the stretch, but she was on the inside. I thought she ran okay in those races. I worry that the yielding turf may have moved Chi-Town Lady up. I don't think she's impossible here. You prefer Poppy Flower of the 2?
I do.
Why?
I do. I like Poppy. Whoa.
That was bad.
I like Poppy Flower off the speed today. I don't think she's going to be able to get to the front today.
No,
I thought
she's
not.
She's not.
Cutting it. Right. So I like her.
Run Curtis Run.
A little bit off the pace from the outside draw.
Could we do something about that beeping in our ears, please?
A little bit off the pace from the outside draw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got her 4th. I wasn't thrilled with her. I like this horse, Slipstream. I thought Slipstream ran very much first time out like a horse that needed his first race. Very annoying. And in this race, he's just a much different horse. I mean, this horse absolutely galloped. Obviously, the question with him is whether or not he's going to be as proficient going 1 furlong less. And I think Christophe Clement is hoping to use this race to perhaps stretch him out to 1 mile in the Breeders' Cup. I think this guy's pretty good. I mean, obviously, somebody really needs to do something about the noise that's coming through our ears, please. It's hard to say. He doesn't really show that he has much speed. Now, I'm going to look up and see what the actual fractions were in his last race to make sure that those fractions were accurate, because they're obviously in question with everything that's going on at this meet. But I actually think this is a pretty good horse, and I think he's going to beat this field today. I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, he was the other one I wanted.
I think Midnight Worker's a little bit interesting in here. It's not really a lot of turf, but, Speightstown's could do anything.
Sure.
But the reality is they entered this horse in the Pilgrim. Why would you enter him in the Pilgrim unless he had shown you something in the morning as a turf horse? Now, maybe he showed him very little in the dirt, so they're just going to give him another chance in the turf, and that's reasonable. But they scratched in that race, and Todd Pletcher must have thought maybe less distance is better to run him back in this race. I got a feeling this horse is a little bit sneaky in here, Midnight Worker, so I'm going to use him as well.
I like the word sneaky.
Well, I mean, he's going to be a price in here. I just think they're going to go for the Wesley Wards here more, that my horse is going to take some money. I guess Biz Buzz is not impossible. I didn't really want him, but he did run okay first time out. 6 stores came back and improved 12 buyer points. The 4th came back, 2nd improved 4 buyer points. Mike Trombetta, for what it's worth, off maiden wins and turf sprints, just 2 for 25, and he's 0 for 4 in their second starts, for what it's worth. Is a live oak. Move on. We'll talk about the late pick 4 after a quick break.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Nyra Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Nyra Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Nyra Bets app or visit NyraBets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. The Big A, Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling, the Beldame. Final prep here for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I guess we could talk about, Royal Flag and Horologist and Gold Spirit from the Shoe V. I guess the question with Horologist is, will Junior continue to ride her with confidence, or will he make the mistake of rating her? I think at this point she needs to go aggressively. Now we'll see how much speed Miss Marissa shows, because she does have a lot of speed. But Horologist ran extremely well in here. Royal Flag ran her down. Not easy to make that close, going 1 1/8 up at Saratoga, and ran well. I prefer Horologist's speed, but I thought it was somewhat of a coin flip between these two.
It's an interesting race from the perspective that they kind of mirror each other. When they're ridden aggressively, Horologist and Miss Marissa, they have their best results. But there have been times where they have not been ridden aggressively. Who is the aggressor in here?
Well, hang on a second. Horologist won this race last year by sitting second to Latruska. So she has run big races by rating behind horses.
Yeah, but Latruska was kind of a runoff that day. Did she go 45 and change?
Let me start again. Horologist ran one of the best races she's ever run by rating off of horses. I don't care if the horse ran off. I don't care if the horse was in a gorilla suit. She ran one of her best figures by sitting second. She won the top flight by sitting second. The question is whether or not you think her recent form has improved because she's been aggressive, because I think the Beyer fig is too low last time. I had an argument with Andy Beyer about this. I understand why he made it, because the final time was accurate for a 91. I don't believe in it. I think it's BS. I think the horse ran much better than that. The question is, has she refound her form by being aggressive? Because she had run 2 stinkers the races before that.
The DuPont and the race at Thistle were awful efforts.
Right.
They were just abysmal.
They were awful.
Efforts.
So I don't know. Did she refine her form in Saratoga? Well, she was good there. She was good in the Beldame. I don't trust her totally. I hope that Junior is aggressive. I hope they don't get overconfident.
You like her today? You want her on a lead?
Yeah. Yeah, I want her in the lead. But I'm not going to say she can't win rating, because she has run well rating in different situations. I like Royal Flag. I think Royal Flag is good. She took advantage of the pace last time, but those are pretty good horses she was running against. I don't know who will be favored. I think Royal Flag will be favored.
I do too. And I think there's a better chance that Horologist makes the lead than Miss Marissa, because I do believe that the thinking is going to be her aggression lately has kind of reversed her form.
Yeah. And she ran, the Timeform US has her running a huge race last time. They agree more with my assessment. But I don't have a big opinion one way or the other. I honestly don't. I believe one will win. A lot of people like Spice is Nice, who I have 4th, and you've left nowhere. My problem with her is twofold. At best, she has a chance to beat Royal Flag. If Horologist runs her best race, she's not going to beat her. I just don't trust her. She was awful in the Fleur-de-Lis. We now haven't seen her for 3.5 months. She missed the entire summer. Am I really supposed to trust her?
No, I don't trust her.
I've never thought she was that good.
This in here, Horologist was a no-show, right? Horologist just
you liked her in the Alabama,
fire.
Didn't you? I think you did.
No, not me.
No?
I've never been a fan
No,
of
I know
her.
who liked her. No, I know who liked her.
I've never been a fan of this film.
Yeah,
and she's and quite frankly, when they've stepped her up, more often than not, she's disappointed.
That's what I was going to say. She's got, I don't want to say she's a total phony, but she's got a little of it.
She's dressed up a little bit.
When she runs against the big girls, she hasn't been as good.
She gets exposed a little bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Here's
and what's she going to do in here? You look at some of her, I guess her best fig and her best effort is when she's alternating on the lead in the DuPont. She's not getting anywhere near the lead with these other 2 fillies.
She could be sitting third.
She could be sitting third, I guess.
Well, that's near the lead, Anthony.
I guess. The race at Belmont where she's sitting just off of 46 and change.
But she can sit third or
guess
fourth.
she can.
You say she's not getting the lead. She can get a good trip here.
Yeah.
I think Gold Spirit is a little interesting. She was compromised by the fact the way the race was run last time out, and the race got away from her on the wet track. I thought her first race was good enough that you shouldn't completely dismiss her, and she's another horse that could be sitting a pretty good trip. The questionable horse in here is Zagel. What do you do with this horse who ran this race in the Mother Goose? And I like the people to go, well, she won the Forward Gal. Yes, with a 66 Beyer. And she proceeded to run a 66 and 67. And her 5 figures are in a descending order, 73, 71, 67, 266. And then there's this 93. And you can say, well, it was kind of a phony race. Always Carina has turned out to not be that good. How was Clairiere? Now, Clairiere should have won. She got left, but she's still been.
She's still in the
top
shouting
5.
distance.
She's one of the top 3 to 5.
And she's still in shouting distance of Clairiere.
Right. She's one of the. So where the heck did that race come from?
If she had one more fig, I would have picked her today. Because I think she's, and I'll tell you what, I did not have the morning line. If she's 10, 12 to 1 on the line, I'm going to bet a few dollars.
Here's what I think.
Because I think she's very interesting.
Shadwell was selling a lot of their broodmares, right? Like 150 of them or something? A lot of them.
With over 100 horses,
okay.
yeah. Weanlings,
I wonder
yearlings.
if she is involved in the sale. And I wonder if they figure she's got minimal value because she's got, like anyone can see, one good race. I don't know her pedigree. I don't know how strong her pedigree is, so I'm not commenting one way or the other. She may have a much stronger pedigree in that maybe. And maybe Todd's just going, I don't know if I can devalue her by running her the Belle Dame because she is who she is. And now if she runs in here and she runs first or second, it's actually going to increase her value. So maybe it's just sort of a shot to increase some value. What else is Todd going to do with her?
And she's run her best race.
Where's he going to run her?
She's run her best race going this elongated one turn at Belmont Park.
Yeah.
And it's not even
no.
It's not even close.
No, it's
20 points better than anything else she's ever done.
I couldn't figure out where she got it from. And I still.
But she's another one. I guess you have to question the fact that she was laid up right off of a moderate pace from Always Karina that day, and that doesn't figure to happen at the very least.
But that, it doesn't matter. Where the race was so completely divergent from any race that she's run. It's not like something in the trip led her to run 15 lengths better than she was running in the past.
At a price, she is, to me, she's one of the more interesting horses on the card.
She's probably going to run 7th, but I won't be shocked when she runs a little better. No, believe me, that's why I showed it, and I'm talking about her. I don't think she's completely silly.
Yeah.
Race number 7. Not a lot to go on in race number 7. Hey, I found a stat for Chuck Lawrence, who trains the 4 Phoebe's Frosty. Chuck's actually got, how about this? I know it's a small sample, but 2-year-old first-time stars, maiden claimers, and dirt sprints. 3 for 9. You wouldn't have guessed that, right?
No, not at all.
I don't know. Kind of makes me want to throw the source in. I mean, you got some from tips in this race? Because this is ridiculous.
I got nothing for you, my man. I got nothing for you.
Nothing in here.
I put Kelly Breen 1-2. I put the first of light work on top.
You know, Anthony pays clear attention to the show. You can take this off. And he looks at the trainer stats. Like he saw the other day when I put up that Kelly Breen was 0 for 13 with first-time starters in maiden claiming races, now 0 for 14th after that horse ran badly. You were paying so much attention that you ran right to the next first-time starting in a maiden claimer.
I didn't know what to do here. I thought about putting Hoboken Jack on top, the horse that ran at Monmouth, the other Kelly Breen horse that ran at Monmouth, but I just took a shot.
That was a merry-go-round race pretty much. I mean, they ran 3-1-2 around the racetrack, and then the third horse closed, but this horse got a pretty good trip, and it looked like a pretty bad field to me.
There's nothing. I mean, the 1 ran on turf. The 3's a half to Barley 1. The 2 was a turf horse for Mike Stidham.
The 3?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to take a shot. One of them was okay on the turf. You're right, but it's a loud band. They paid $75,000 for this horse at a 2-year-old sale. I did not look up the work. I'm going to guess with Rick Schosberg, who's capable of winning with a first-time star. So I'm going to guess with Boss making Boss moves over the 5 for George Weaver.
Empire Station.
Yeah, it's just
it's
all guessing game. Weaver has so numbers, but I didn't have much to go on. It's a total guess. I don't know if there's any info around there. 3, 4, and 5. I'm going with first-time starters. Race number 8, the Knickerbocker. We used to run it on Election Day. I remember Mr. Bluebird winning it at 1 3/8.
I remember Rinkadas throwing Julie Cronin the
slop off the turf, with a 5-length lead and a 7-1. 16th ball, ducked out and dumped her. Ducked out to the outside rail and dumped her. Yeah.
That was like 92. Wow.
So we'll show you the Imperator NYC race. NYC is completely and totally stymied and blocked, and Imperator gets that clean outside run. Imperator last time was badly compromised by the ridiculously slow pace when NYC scratched because 3 inches, 3 drops of rain fell. Sorry, I can't get over it. I don't know. Wasn't his better race on a yielding turf?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I do think Imperator, you can give him a break for his last race because it was slow pace. Tell your daddy, by the way, ran second. Got a great ride from Julian Leperoux, ran second, the Shadwell, at a big price yesterday. I guess Imperator's okay. Thought he'd be a short price, excuse me.
It's okay.
But
it's a sleepy Sunday.
I couldn't sleep last night. I woke up in the middle of the night.
I slept 7.5 straight hours for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, I think one thing about the 4, I mean, Anthony, how do you have the 4 on top and you don't have the 8 anywhere? I don't understand how that's possible. You have a horse that was completely blocked, that's going to be forward in a race that doesn't have a lot of speed.
I don't like the fact that the horse ran once in a year.
Well, he scratched the horse because he didn't want to run it right or wrong after we got 10 minutes of rain up in Saratoga. So the horse was entered in the Bernard Brook.
I understand that.
And this horse, Anthony, it's fine to pick the 4 on top of the 8, but it makes no sense.
And I don't like the fact that the horse is, for the second time, is missing.
He's trained by that idiot Todd Pletcher.
But he just misses chunks
But he's
of
trained by one
time.
of the best trainers in the history of horse racing. Don't you take into account he's trained by a great trainer?
You know I do. I don't like him.
I think it makes absolutely no sense.
I mean,
I don't think I'm the only one.
You have the horse 4th.
But I also have the 4 second.
Yeah, I understand that.
There's a big difference, and the 8 is going to be forward here. So I don't understand how you can have the 4 and completely disregard. It just says you're not paying attention to the last race because the horse was completely and totally. Anthony,
I don't like the fact that this was Andy.
You look at these things and you just dismiss these horses out of hand, and they win.
Andy, the horse has a December to August playoff.
I don't care.
And
The horse
October to August.
The horse was entered.
whatever
The
reason,
horse was entered closing day at Saratoga, and he scratched the
That's
horse. The horse
fine.
is running now, and I trust Todd Pletcher.
Okay.
If it was trained by some guy that never wins, and you want to say that, but it's talking about a guy who's one of literally the greatest trainers ever.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but you're also
But you
acting like
are.
this horse is the second coming of Manila.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
not. I'm saying it makes no sense to have the 4
It
on
makes
top
no
and
sense.
completely
It
dismiss a
makes
horse
no
that was
sense to you.
completely blocked behind. It makes no sense to anybody who paid
Okay.
attention to this race and handicapped.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay. For
You
whatever
can't
reason,
dismiss the 8 if you like the
For
4.
whatever reason, he missed 9 months, and then he's missing another 3 months, and I understand he scratched. I don't like it. I don't like it.
He was entered again the other
I
day.
just
and
told
he got
you that.
rained
I
off. That's why he
understand
didn't
that.
run him. It
I
makes
understand
no
that.
sense.
Okay.
It makes no
Okay.
sense. Breaking the rules in Sacred Life. They took advantage of a contested pace to run 1-2 at Saratoga. I'm not particularly strong fans either. It does seem Sacred Life gets his nose in there somewhere, but he's just not a winning type.
No, I mean, how many chances are you going to give me? Listen, Rock Emperor got the money yesterday, so maybe it's time. It's time this guy wakes up. But I mean, he doesn't. He's just another underachiever, just not reliable. I mean, this day, he probably, if you switch trips, he probably beats breaking the rules that day.
I don't know. Maybe.
But,
saved a little more ground.
Yeah,
I don't really care.
I mean,
I just think both of these horses are just kind of unreliable in here. But you've got breaking the rules second. Okay, I will bet you the 8 beats the 2.
Okay.
Okay, 2 lunches.
Okay.
It'll be 893 by this one. Yeah, I don't like breaking the rules. He's okay. I just think overall he's sort of a cut below. I like Field Pass.
Scratched yesterday.
Yeah, it was the right move to scratch yesterday. He's going to be forward here. Dylan's supposed to go. If NYC's more aggressive, he'll have the lead. He'll sit behind him. I'd like to see him going in here. He has been a bit of a disappointment this year. I won't disagree with that. But the reality is that he was wide last time against the Gold Rail. And you go through some of his races, the Maker's Mark Mile, you go through the race at Churchill and the Wise Dan. They're good enough to beat this field. I think tactically he's going to be well placed, and he's good, so he should get a good trip. And I'm not scared of anybody in here. None of these horses are that good. I mean, Imperator's no killer.
I'm going to tell you who I thought was a little interesting in here. The number 9, No Word. And this is a horse I wasn't really a fan of. I think the barn thought this horse wanted to go longer. And in fact, last time when they cut him back to the mile on the 16th, I think he ran one of his better races. Okay. Now the mile and an 8th.
Okay. That's fine. He has the exact same face of NYC, who you gave us a big lecture that he doesn't run. The only difference is that his trainer didn't scratch him when it rained at Saratoga last time.
Hold on.
So you like I'm not going to hold on. You
break.
like a horse that's exactly the same as NYC after you gave us this preposterous.
He has 1 break. I'm not going to go off a 2-year-old break. It's a 2-year-old.
He ran 3 times last year, and he ran big races every time.
He has 1 break, and he's a 4-year-old, not a 5-year-old. There's a difference between these 2 horses, Andy. If you don't see the difference between these 2 horses,
Anthony,
there's a difference between these 2 horses.
Yes, NYC's a better horse. That's the difference between
you want
the 2
2
of them.
lunches, 8 versus 9?
Oh, please.
Go ahead.
Oh, please.
Go ahead.
Please.
See, I think No Word.
I'm betting out of NYC at this point.
I think No Word is really interesting in here because he's a horse. If you pick his card apart, especially now with a race or two with the 2 races under his belt, I think he's going to be ready for a big effort today. I almost, I thought at L'Imperator, the way he ran last time, kind of showed that the first time in America, something obviously went amiss, and I wasn't worried about the wet ground. He paired his number on the firm in the wet ground in the last two, and I think if he moves forward, they're going to have a lot to handle.
I doubt he moves forward, but
I thought this horse was very interesting. You look at some of the company he kept going longer, and in his career, again,
Ever Dangerous,
if you
Fancy
need,
Liquor, Bye-Bye Melvin.
Gufo, Domestic Spending.
He rode a gold rail in the Gufo race.
Okay.
He beat Mo Reddy. It was like a claimer.
You know, last time I looked like he needed to race 2 starts back. I thought he ran well enough in a Baruch, and maybe he moves forward.
Okay.
The problem with him is maybe it was the yielding, but I think he's going to be okay today.
Okay. Race number 9. Another chance for Bailout to win. Bailout's had many chances and almost got home, and it doesn't say a lot about digital software that it took an incredible lunge for him to finally beat him. Will today be the day?
I can't do it. You can do it. I can't do it.
No, I didn't pick him.
It's impossible to do.
He never wins.
Yeah, he never wins. I mean, talk about a horse that, never is not an exaggeration here. 0 for 24, 9 seconds. And he's really knocked on the door in his last 3. Last time he gave all the chalk players a big scare here, and digital software just gets him. He can win. You can't take him, he's got to be the second choice in here, right?
And I think it should also be noted that the 1A gets in, so both halves of the Chad Brennan entry are running. And I think if the morning line maker had known that, he probably would have made him a bigger favorite in here. You just don't know if the 1A is getting in. As far as deferred taxes, he ran okay first time out. In his second start at 1-5 at Keeneland, we'll take a look at that. He finished second. He did get wired in here behind a very slow pace. He didn't run well. I think this entry could run 1-2 in here. I think they're both actually a little bit better than they look, and I think at a 1-turn mile they're going to be fine.
I agree.
I know he's been a disappointment, deferred taxes. The Lynch years have been a disappointment, to be honest with you.
Overall, yeah.
And I just think they may have found the right field. But, the truth is that my boy Colton, I always wanted to think it was named after Colton, but I'm sure he isn't. Our friend Colton.
Our buddy Colton has a K.
Colton? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Colton with a K?
Yeah, Colton with a K.
He was leading like a team. I sent you a video of it.
It was fantastic.
He was like a team of his friends. His friends up in Saratoga. It was awesome. His fat dad and I were actually chuckling about it. It was great. I have the video, right? I should show it in the show. He ran well last time. I feel like this might be a slightly better field, but obviously he can win this
Absolutely.
race. I mean,
I put him second.
And if you're going to just take the opinion, which may be the right one, that the 8 just doesn't win, you're using 1 and 3, and I suppose you could use the first or Ember.
You got to use a little 5,
doesn't
right?
have much turf pedigree, and they paid an awful lot of money for this
horse. Yeah, $385,000, debuting for a $50,000 tag. Dan was 1 for 6 on the turf, but in a race like this, where the entry does look I agree with you. I think the entry's a little better than they look on paper. They're still both dropping in for the 50, and I'm not going to let a Clement first to beat me, so I'll be using 5s as well.
I'm laughing because my friends at Jump Sucker Stable, they've got Slipstream, who's in the stake, and then they've got this one, their partners in for 385, running for 50 first time out. It's a tough game.
It'll humble you.
It's a tough game.
It will humble you.
Some of us less than others. Anyhow, that's today's card. Thank you, Anthony. Been fun. Are you sticking around, or are you getting out of here?
No, I'm going to go watch some football.
Wind tunnel. Oh, big football fan now. Big football fan. Wow, really? How come you're not watching the Jets game or something? Aren't they playing a morning game? I hear they're still sleeping. Anyhow, you need to head over to Nyra Bets. If you're not a member of Nyra Bets, no better time than the present. Sign up for Nyra Bets. Use the promo code MATCH200 and sign up for Nyra Bets. Wind tunnel up here. What do we got? 50-50-50 with Gulfstream and somewhere else today. Woodbine. Opt in. Bet 50 or more at each Belmont, Woodbine, Gulfstream. You'll get a $50 bonus, a nice bonus for Sunday. And America's Day at the races, I think it's 12:30 to 5. I don't think that's correct, but the 1 to 3:30 is on FS1. Enjoy the day's racing. 3 stakes. You avoided any real rain, but it's a little bit windy up in the wind tunnel, known as the 3rd floor at Belmont. Have a great day. Johnny I up next. The reprise, Scratches and Changes.